Dogworks Radio is sponsored by Alaska Dogworks. Check out their website at alaskadogworks.com. From First Paw Media, sponsored by First Paw Coffee Company, this is the Dog Driver Show. Visit our website at dogworksradio.com. Now here are your hosts, Robert Forto and Klaus Starflinger.
Hello and welcome everybody. This is Robert and I'm here with my co-host KP and we are the Dog Driver Show, and today we're talking to Klaus Starflinger calling in from Germany. KP, what do you know about Klaus?
Klaus Starflinger, he is one of the multiple world champion actually in the open class. I've never personally raced Klaus, but I've seen him racing. I've seen his dogs, extremely fast, extremely competitive world champion dogs. He is from Bavaria, Germany, and he's been in the sled dogs for a long time. And I am really excited asking him questions and asking him a little bit of background on his techniques to be a champion and also stay as a champion for many years. Klaus, how are you doing?
Yeah, it's fine. I'm a little bit retired and I'm missing my trips to Alaska and Canada with the dogs.
Absolutely. We had you in North America several times. Klaus, for our listeners, tell us a little bit about yourself, when you started, how you started.
Yes. Yeah, I was starting 38 years ago with Alaskan Malamutes, and then I went directly to the Alaskans when I saw them running in a big open team, and before I had only 3 dogs, 3 Malamutes, so for me it was very impressive to look at such a big open team. And then I met the first time in Sweden Egil Ellis, and it was my first contact with the hounds, and that was the kind of dogs I love, and I fell in love from the first time to the character and the speed of these dogs. And so I directly, when I saw them the first time, I bought one and started to breed and started my career with the hounds.
So how long you've been open class racing, Klaus?
Open class racing, I think it's 25 years. But you must understand, in Germany and in Europe, open class is not the same like in Alaska, because our trails and our tracks are mostly not as hard, not as high speed like you are used to drive, and it's normally 10, 12 dogs is the best string you can do, and that was also a reason I decided to live all the time in the winter for the last 15 years in Sweden, because there are the trails where you can hook 14, 16, 18 dogs, and that was the kind of dog driving I like and I wanted to do.
That is very interesting. I hear more and more of semi-professional drivers like yourself. I say semi because we are never professional drivers, but like you, like Detlef, like Rudy, traveling and trying to find good conditions and good snow.
Yeah,
is it important?
It's very important. It was kind of my philosophy and strategy to live with the dogs and to train the dogs. Because if you want to run such a big string, and if you want to run always fast and put out the maximum speed of the team, and always searching for some more speed, then you can make your kart training or something like that. Here in Southern Europe times, it's okay, but in latest time in November, you should practice on snow because otherwise it's not fair to the dogs, and you cannot demand extraordinary performance if you don't give them the right conditions, and if you give them the feeling that they have fun and everything. So it must be to prepare a fast open team.
Klaus, you mentioned that you are a retired musher now, as we know, so you no longer race. But when you raced, how many dogs you had in your kennel?
Yeah, I only had maximum 35 dogs in the kennel, with young dogs, with old dogs. It was always the maximum. I preferred to have less dogs and to work with every dog. And that was also a reason I was, for the last 10 years, 15 years, when I was driving in open class, I had only dogs in the harness which were bred by myself, and they were born in my house, and I took a breeding program from a long time to get that kind of dogs I like.
Yeah, I was fortunate to see some of your dogs actually in Alaska not long time ago. I believe Michael Tetzner had some of your dogs a few years ago in Alaska. I saw them. Klaus, you as a champion, you are one of the few guys who traveled also quite a bit with your open class, coming to North America, Alaska, Canada, and racing. Explain why it was important for you to come up here and race.
Yeah, it's one thing is to have the competition. When you want to race and to compete in open class, you should race against the professionals. You should race the very famous races like the North American. You should go to the famous places. For me, it was very, very impressing to win the world championship in Dawson City on the Yukon, because for us in Europe it's always North America. It's a dream to race for the dogs. So I tried as often I could to make that travel. But you know, it's big efforts and a lot of money to come with the airplane to Alaska.
And how did you organize? How many times did you come to North America, Klaus?
Yeah, it was 3 times I came.
And I believe you won 2 world championships here in North America. Is that correct, or more?
Yeah, I won in Dawson City, and the second time was in Canada, in Daquam. I was second, behind Rudy.
Ah, German combination, my Rudy, my friend.
But we were very close, and I think if the race would last, I think only 2 or 3 miles more, then I could get him. But it's a race, it's something like that.
Absolutely. So, I talked to a lot of European drivers in this show, and open drivers, limited drivers. I always ask this question, and you would be a great example to ask this question. Do you think the type of dogs that you raced in Europe and the type of dogs that we race in Alaska and North America, are they different?
Yeah, it's a very difficult question. If you go in an open team and go for distances like North American and all the other races. I think the type of dogs is, I think it's the same. When I see the breedings and when I saw the competition and the other mushers with the dogs, maybe we are a little bit more touched by the Scandinavian hound types, and you are a little bit more focused, I think, also of the resistance to the temperature and to the conditions. But for the winning team, I think it's totally the same type of dogs.
That is very interesting. Very great answer that I'm hearing, actually. Tell us a little bit about your dogs. You said you started your breeding program with the Scandinavian hounds with Egil Ellis from Sweden, and then for many, many generations you produce your own dogs. What did you look for when you bred your own dogs?
It was, for me, it was one always, it goes through my life. I like speed. And I was always looking for dogs I can run in high speed and they like it. So you can't, it's my meaning, you can't run a dog as fast as I wanted if he don't wants to do it. He wants to run and he wants to fly. And I was breeding really only for that purpose. And for me it was very satisfied that from the IFS, the officials and the veterinarians, after my last World Championship I won in Norway, they came to me and said, Klaus, it's always a big pleasure to see your dogs in the finish line. Because I came to the finish line when I won the races after the third day, and my dogs were laughing, they were waving the tails, and they were all in the team were happy. And then sometimes in Europe or on the races I won with 3 minutes, with 5 minutes before the second or before the third. And that was my goal. If I come to the finish line with laughing dogs, my smile in the face, and they are not tired, and we could even continue next day or a day more with racing because it was fun. And these kind of dogs, they love this incredible speed, and also they like my kind of driving because I think it's a special kind. I am driving with the sled, and I'm focused on the rhythm, on the line of the dogs, and how I use my front end, and how I take care of the front end of the team on the sled, because I was mostly the same tired or when I came to the finish line, the same like the dogs, because I was working as hard as they do, because I am focused on every meter on sled. I do the optimum on the runners, and that gave the front end and the dogs a kind of security that makes them running very fast.
Klaus, you've raced for many, many years around the world. If you have to pick one race, your biggest achievement, what race would it be and why?
that maybe makes you a little bit surprised. My most impressing and my most best race I did with in Italy on a very complicated mountain trail. I ran with my open team and I won that race, but I ran with a retired team of 6 dogs, and there was a blind and a deaf one in lead. It was my old leaders. And I was on the 3rd place with that 6-dog team with a blind and a deaf one on a very complicated trail. And that gave me a feeling, and that was a connection to the dog and to the kind I want to drive, that I said, okay, Klaus, they are happy, even they are handicapped, and you maybe do the right thing.
Klaus, I love that story. I know that is a very uncommon possibility to be able to lead on a very difficult trail, and that makes for an excellent dog for sure. So my next question to you is: you've been doing this, I believe you said you raced for 38 years. Is that correct? So in 38 years, what have you seen as the biggest change? Obviously, the dogs are different, the equipment's different, but you know what? The trails, the locations are the same. So what do you think is the biggest change in your entire career?
It's more professional. When I started racing here in Europe, we had our locations. We did the best out of it. We had not the possibilities of breeding so much, so come so quickly forward. So we had a little bit, I call a European scene of Mushers. They did all the same. They know each other like in North American, but then it came more dogs from North America to give us input how we should take our focus on. And the biggest change on my way was to combine that Alaskan dogs, the Alaskan Huskies, with I say 25% of the Scandinavian sled dogs, because that makes a kind of race dogs. They changed. They changed everything, because the character is different. They are more socialized for our European kind of living with a lot of population and everything. So it's much easier with that kind of dogs live and train and to have a big team. That was, I think, the two most changing things.
Very interesting. Yeah, we've heard that same thing from other people. And, Alaskans say the same thing, but the opposite. They say the introduction of the European dogs to the Alaskans on the other side. You said the introduction from Alaskans to the Europeans. So I think it's interesting how each side sees it, whether they're North American or European or Scandinavian or which. Klaus, it's been a pleasure to have you on. KP, anything in closing?
No, I just wanted to thank you, Klaus, for spending the last 30 minutes with us. I grew up with these guys in Europe. I know all of them, actually. These, Klaus, Rudy, on and on, Detlef from Germany. These guys are a fountain of knowledge. I mean, it's always interesting listening to them, because these are words of wisdom definitely behind us. I wanted to thank you one more time, and looking forward to chat with you in the future, and thank you.
Okay, thank you too, and greetings to North America.
Very good. Thank you very much. On behalf of our guest today, Klaus Starflinger, this is Robert and KP for the Dog Driver Show. Make sure you check us out on social media by searching DogWorks Radio. And if you like, hit that subscribe button and you will get notifications every time we post a episode. So on behalf of that, we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
From First Paw Media, this is the Dog Driver Show. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we invite you to subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll find a link on the episode notes. You can tap or swipe on the episode cover art, and you can see some offers from our sponsors. You can support our show by supporting them. If you like what you have heard, we would love it if you could give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe too. Your hosts are Robert Forto and Kurosh Parto. Our producer is Robert Forto and created for First Paw Media.